Welcome to the last video in Section 2, Ordering Decimals. Now we already looked at using place value to help us compare and order decimals. Now we're going to use a number line. Now on this number line, I see that it's broken into 2/10, 4/10, 6/10, and so on. Now some of the numbers we have here go to the hundredths place. So I'm going to add a 0 onto each of these numbers, which will help me when I'm placing the decimals on the number line. Now I want to ask myself, what values are between 0 and 20 hundredths? Well, we would have 100th, 200ths, 300ths, 10 hundredths, 11 hundredths, all the way up to 18, 19 hundredths. So all of these values here fit in between 0 and 20 hundredths. We just can't fit them all in. So when I look at my list and think which of these numbers can be placed between 0 and 20 hundredths, that would be 18 hundredths and 9 hundredths. Now 18 hundredths is pretty close to 20, so I'll put that around here. And 9 hundredths is a little bit less than the halfway point, so that should go around here. So those two are done. Now when I look at 5/10, I can add a 0 onto that and look at it as 50 hundredths, and that will go directly between 40 hundredths and 60 hundredths. Next we have 95 hundredths. So between 80 hundredths and 1, 90 hundredths would go in the middle, so 95 hundredths will go around here. And lastly, we have 64 hundredths. So I have 60 hundredths, I'll have 61, 62, 63, and then 64 hundredths. That will go around here. So I have them all done. So now that they're all on a number line, you can easily see that any values to the very left are the smallest ones, and the values on the right are the biggest ones. So if you were asked to order these least to greatest, you can just write them out from left to right. Now in this example, we have to find a number between each pair of decimals. So I have 43 and 5/10 and 43 and 9/10. So what number is in between those values? Well, I could say 43 and 6/10, or 43 and 7/10, or 43 and 8/10. There are several possible correct answers here. Now if I look at the next one, I have 8 and 6/10 and 8 and 7/10. So this one is a little bit harder to find a value in between. So what we can do is add a 0 onto each number. So it's 8 and 60 hundredths and 8 and 70 hundredths. So what's between 60 and 70 hundredths? Well, we would have 61 hundredths, 62 hundredths, 63 hundredths, and so on. So any of these values would be correct. Now let's do the same thing for C. I have 21 hundredths and 22 hundredths. What value would be in between? So let's add a 0 on. And so what's between 210 thousandths and 220 thousandths? There are several options. I'm going to say 217 thousandths. Now that is the end of this lesson on ordering and comparing decimals. Be sure to complete the activities before moving on.